It's fantastic. You're going to love it, I promise. The show runs about 2 hours and 10 minutes, with including a 10-minute intermission. So we should be out of here by 10:15. And if everybody could please turn off their cell phones. No flash photography. If you're going to have any candy or anything that you're going to unwrap, please unwrap it now so we don't hear all the crinkling during the show. If everybody could please make sure that the aisles stay clear. We do have cast members using them. What else did I tell you? Enjoy the show and have a wonderful evening. Oh, we collect programs at the end if you want to recycle.
a noble creature and are dashed all to pieces. Cry to knock against my very heart. Poor souls, they perish.
Be collected. No more amazement. Tell your piteous heart there is no harm done.
Woe the day!
No harm. I've done nothing but in care of thee. Of thee, my dear one. Of thee, my daughter, who art ignorant of what thou art, not knowing of whence I am.
More to know did never meddle with my thoughts.
'Tis time I should inform thee farther. Lend thy hand. I have, with such provision in mine art, so safely ordered that there is no soul, no, not so much perdition, as a hair betide any creature on the vessel, which thou heardest cry, which thou sawest sink. Sit down, thou must now know farther.
You have often begun to tell me of what I am, but stopped, and left me to a bootless inquisition, concluding, stay not yet.
The hour is now come. Obey, and be attentive. Canst thou remember a time before we came unto the cell? I do not think thou canst.
Certainly, madam, I can. 'Tis far off, and rather like a dream than an assurance. Had I not once 4 or 5 women attended me?
Thou hadst, and more, Miranda. But how is it this lives in thy mind? What seest thou else in the dark backward and abysm of time? If thou rememberest aught ere thou camest here, how thou camest here thou mayest.
That I do not.
12 years since, Miranda. 12 years since! Your mother was the Duchess of Milan.
Are you not my mother?
Thou art my daughter, and I was Duchess of Milan. Thou mine only heir, and princess no worse issued.
Oh, the heavens! What foul play had we that we came from thence? Or blessed was it we did?
Both, my girl. By foul play, as thou sayest, were we heaved thence. Blessedly hope hither.
Oh, my heart bleeds to think of the teen that I had turned you to, which is from my remembrance. Please you farther.
My sister. And thy aunt, called Antonia, she who next thyself of all the world I loved, and to her put the manage of my state. And Prospera, the prime duchess, being so reputed in dignity, and for the liberal arts without a parallel, those being all my study, the government I cast upon my sister, and to my state grew stranger. Dost thou attend me?
Most heedfully.
Not thy aunt, being once perfected, how to grant suits, how to deny them, who to advance and who to trash, new created creatures that were mine, I say. What changed them? Having the key to both officer and office, set all hearts in the state to a tune pleased her ear. Thou attendest not.
Oh, I do.
I pray thee, mark me. I, thus neglecting worldly ends, all dedicated to closeness and the bettering of my mind by that which, but for being so retired or prized all popular rate, in my false sister awaked an evil nature, and my trust, like a good parent, did beget of her a falsehood in its contrary as great as my trust was, she being thus lorded, not only with what my revenue yielded, but what my power might else exact. To credit her own lie, she did believe she was indeed the Duchess, at the substitution, in executing the outward face of royalty. Hence, her ambition growing. Dost thou hear?
Your tale could cure deafness.
Me, poor woman, my library was dukedom large enough. Confederates, so dry was she for sway, with the King of Naples, to pay him annual tribute, to do him homage, to subject her coronet to his crown, and bend the dukedom yet unbowed. Alas, poor Milan, it's most ignoble stooping.
I should sin to think but nobly of my grandmother. Good wombs have borne bad daughters.
Not the King of Naples, being enemy to me inveterate, hearkens my sister's suit, which was that he, in lieu of I know not how much tribute, should presently extirpate me and mine out of the dukedom, and confer fair Milan with all its honors upon my sister. Whereon a treacherous army levied, one midnight fated for the purpose, did Antonia open the gates of Milan. And in the dead of darkness, the ministers for the purpose hurried thence me and thy crying self.
Lack, I'm not remembering how I cried out then will cry it or again. 'Tis a hint that brings mine eyes to it. Wherefore did they not that hour destroy us?
Well demanded, daughter. My tale does provoke this question. There, they durst not. So dear the love my people bore me. In few, they hurried us aboard a bark, bore us some leagues to sea, where they had prepared a rotten carcass of a boat, not rigged, nor tackle, sail, nor mast. The very rats instinctively had quit it, and there they hoist us, to cry to the sea that roared at us, to sigh to the wind whose pity sighing back again did us but loving wrong.
Alack, what trouble was I then to you?
Oh, a cherubim thou wast that did preserve me. Thou didst smile, infused with a fortitude from heaven, while I decked the sea with drops full of salt under my burthen groaned.
How came we ashore?
By providence divine. Some food we had, and some fresh water that a noble Neapolitan, Gonzalo, out of his charity, he then being appointed master of the design, did give us, along with such necessaries which since have steaded much. So, of his gentleness, knowing I loved my books, he did furnish me from mine own library with volumes that I prize above my dukedom.
Oh, that I might but ever see them!
Sit down! Hear the last of our sea sorrow. Here on this island we arrived, and here hath I, thy schoolmistress, made thee more profit than other princesses can, who have more time for vainer hours, tutors not so careful.
Heavens, thank you for it. But now, madam, pray you for still just beating in my mind your reason for raising this sea storm?
Know thus far forth. By accident most strange hath mine enemies brought to the shore. And by my prescience I find that my zenith doth depend on a most auspicious star. Here, cease more questions. Thou art inclined to sleep. 'Tis a good dullness. Give it way. I know thou canst not choose. Come away, my servant. Come. I am ready now. Come, my Ariel. Come.
All hail, great master. Grave madam, hail. I come to answer thy best pleasure, be it to fly, to swim, to dive into the fire, to ride on the curled clouds, to thy strong bidding, task Ariel and all my quality.
Hast thou, spirit, performed 2 points the tempest that I bade thee?
To every article. I border the king's ship, now on the beak, now in the waist, the deck. In every cabin I flamed amazement. Sometimes I divide and burn in many places. On the topmast, the yards and bowsprit would I flame distinctly. Then meet and join the fire and cracks of sulphurous roaring. The most mighty Neptune seemed to besiege and make his bold waves tremble. Yea, his dread ride and shake.
Oh, that's my brave Ariel, who was so firm, so constant, that this coil would not infect his reason.
Not a soul, but felt the fever of the mad, and played some tricks of desperation. All but mariners plunged in the foaming brine and quit the vessel, then all afire with me. The king's son, Ferdinand, with her, up staring, then like reeds, not hair, was the first man that leaped. He cried, hell is empty, and all the devils are here. Hell is empty. Hell is empty, and all the devils are here.
Oh, that's my spirit, but was not this nigh shore?
Close by, my mistress.
But are they safe, Ariel?
Not a hair perished on their sustaining garments, not a blemish, but fresher than before. And as thou badest me, in troops I have dispersed about the isle. The king's son, Ferdinand, have I landed by himself, whom I left cooling off the air with sighs. In an odd angle of the isle, and sitting, his arms in this sad knot.
And of the king's ship, the mariners, say how thou hast disposed, and all the rest of the fleet.
Safely in harbor is the king's ship. In the deep nook there, she's hid. The mariners, all under hatches stirred, who, with a charm, joined to their suffered labor, I have left asleep. And as for the rest of the fleet, which I disperse, they all have met again, and are upon the Mediterranean float, bound sadly home for Naples, supposing that they saw the king's ship wrecked, and his great person perish.
Ariel, thy charge exactly is performed. But there's more work. What is the time of the day?
Past the mid-season.
At least 2 glasses. The time twixt 6 and now must by us both be spent most preciously.
Is there more toil? Since thou dost give me pains, let me remember thee what thou hast promised, which is not yet performed me.
How now? Moody, what is it thou canst demand?
My liberty!
Before the time is out? No more.
I prithee, remember, I have done thee worthy service, told thee no lies, made thee no mistakings, served thee without or grudge or grumblings. Thou didst promise to bait me a full year.
Dost thou forget from what a torment I did free thee?
No,
Thou dost. And thinkest it much to tread the ooze of the salt deep, to run upon the sharp winds of the north, to do me business in the veins of the earth when it is baked with frost.
I do not, lady.
Thou liest, malignant thing! Hast thou forgot the foul witch Sycorax, whose age and envy was grown into a hoop? Hast thou forgot her?
No, lady.
Thou hast. Where was she born? Speak. Tell me.
In Algiers.
Oh, was she so? I must once in a month recount what thou hast been, which thou forgettest. That damned witch Sycorax, the mischiefs manifold and sorceries terrible to enter human hearing, from Algiers, thou knowest, was banished. But for one thing she did, they would not take her life. Is that not true?
Aye, lady.
The blue-eyed hag was hither brought with child, and here was left by the sailors. Thou, my slave, as thou reportest thyself, was then her servant. And for thou wast spirit too delicate to act her earthy and abhorred commands, refusing her grand hests, she did confine thee, with the help of her more potent ministers, into a cloven pine, within which rift, imprisoned, thou didst painfully remain 12 years, in which space she died, leaving thee there. Then was this island, save for a son, she did litter here, a freckled whelp, hag-born, not honored with a human shape.
Yes, Caliban, her son.
Yes, dull thing that Caliban, who now I keep in service. Thou best knowest in what a torment I did find thee. 'Twas a torment to lay upon the damned, which Sycorax could not again undo. It was mine art, when I arrived and heard thee, made gape the pine and let thee out.
I thank thee, mistress.
If thou more murmurest, I'll rend an oak and peg thee in its knotty entrails until thou hast howled away 12 winters.
I will be correspondent to command and do my spiriting gently.
Do so. And after 2 hours, I will discharge thee.
That's my noble mistress. What shall I do? Say what? What shall I do?
Go. Make thyself like a nymph of the sea. Be subject to no sight but thine and mine, invisible to every eyeball else. And hark in Ferdinand's ear.
Beseech you, sir, be merry. You have cause, so have we all of joy. For our escape is much beyond our loss. But for the miracle of our preservation, few in millions can speak like us. Then wisely, good sir, weigh our sorrow with our comfort.
Prithee, peace.
He takes comfort like cold porridge.
The visitor will not give him over, sir.
Look, he's winding up the watch of his wit. By and by it will strike.
Sir,
One. Tell.
when every grief is entertained that's offered, comes to the entertainer,
$1.
dolour comes to him. Indeed, you have spoken truer than you purposed.
You have taken it wiselier than I meant you should.
Therefore, my lord,
Fie, what a spendthrift does he have his tongue?
I prithee, spare.
well, I have done. But yet,
You will be talking.
A wager?
A match.
though this island seemed to be desert,
So you're paid.
uninhabitable, and almost inaccessible,
Yet.
yet
He could not miss it.
No.
it must needs be of subtle, tender, and delicate temperance.
Temperance was a delicate wench.
Aye, and as subtle as he most learnedly delivered.
The air breathes upon us here most sweetly.
As if it had lungs and rotted ones.
Oh, it were perfumed by a fen.
Here is everything advantageous to life.
True, save means to live.
Of that there's none. Or little.
How lush and lusty the grass looks. How green!
The ground indeed is tawny.
With an eye of green in it?
He misses no much.
No, he doth but mistake the truth totally.
But the rarity of it is, which is almost beyond credit,
As many vouched rarities are.
that our garments, being as they were drenched in the sea, hold, notwithstanding, their freshness and glosses.
If one of his pockets could speak, will I not say he lies?
Aye, or very falsely, pocket up his report.
Aye,
Why? In good time.
sir, we were talking that our garments are as fresh as the first day we put them on in Africa at the wedding of your king's fair daughter, Clarabelle.
'Twas a sweet marriage, and we prosper well in our return.
What's impossible matter will he make easy next?
I think he will take this island home in his pocket, and give it his son for an apple.
And sowing the kernels of it in seed brings forth more islands.
Sir, is not my doublet as fresh as the first day I wore it? I mean, in a sort.
That sort was well fished for.
When I wore it at your daughter's wedding.
You cram these words into my ears, against the stomach of my sense. Would that I'd never married my daughter there, for coming thence, my son is lost. And by my rate, she too, who is so far from Italy removed, I ne'er again shall see her. Oh, thou mine heir, of Naples and of Milan, what strange fish made his meal on.
Sir, he may live. I saw him beat the surges under him, and ride upon their backs. He trod the water whose enmity he flung aside, and breasted the surge most swollen that met him, and oared himself with his good arms in lusty stroke to shore. I not doubt he came alive to land.
No, no. He's gone.
Sir, you may thank yourself for this great loss that would not bless our Europe with your daughter, but rather lose her to an African, or at least she is banished from your eye. Who hath cause to wet the grief on it?
Prithee, peace.
You were kneeled to and importuned otherwise by us all, and by the fair soul herself, who weighed between loathliness and obedience, at which end of the beam should bow. We have lost your son, I fear, forever. The fault's your own.
So is the dearest of the lost.
My lady Sebastian, the truth you speak doth lack some gentleness, and time to speak it in. You rub the sore when you should bring the plaster.
Very well.
And most certainly.
It is foul weather in us all, good sir. When you are cloudy,
Foul weather.
Very foul.
had I plantation of this isle, my lord, and were the king on it, what would I do?
Escape being drunk for want of wine.
In the Commonwealth, I would by contraries execute all things, for no kind of traffic would I admit. No name of magistrate, letters should not be known, riches, poverty, and use of service, none. Contract, succession, born, bound of land, tilth, vineyard, none. No use of metal, corn, or wine, or oil. No occupation. All men idle, all. And women too, but innocent